turn to the teacher. Turn to the teacher. Turn to the teacher. Turn to the teacher. Turn to the teacher.
And welcome back to the show, everyone. I'm Mike with the Turntable Teachers, and class is back in session. We have our very first quarantine edition of guest speaker, and I am so excited to have TAHA, a rapper, singer, songwriter. Do you even do a little producing yourself or no?
Yeah, this new album I'm doing, yeah, especially on that one. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, TAHA, thank you so much for joining us today. He is a Shrewsbury, Amherst. He's kind of floats back and forth between the two there. So he's in that out in the Western Mass area. And so I told you off air how much I love Lately. Like that is like my shit. Yeah, that is my shit, dude.
That's sick, man. Yeah, that song, the way it came together was just like really interesting. I mean, I even have freestyled it too, so it just felt really natural, like the whole process.
Well, before I break down the song with you, I want to backtrack something real quick. So we did an Instagram live. We've been doing Instagram lives. We've been doing a new music sharing show. Any of our viewers that haven't seen that yet, definitely check that out. It's been a lot of fun. Follow our playlist on Spotify. That's attached to it. Lately is on that playlist, no question. And this is the reason why I had a good friend and fellow rapper Trevi on the show for that second Instagram live, and I ended up playing Lately on the live, and I am not kidding you, dude. Right? It got some of the best reception from the whole night. No bullshit.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
So go back and go, I swear, like it's out there, like it's on our YouTube page. Like go after this, like go check it out because I played it and Trevi's like bumping his head, and he's like, this is a song that if I heard this, I'd be like, who is this dude? I want to hear more. That's like his exact words. Like I'm quoting. And then people in the chat, they're like, this dude is awesome. And then they wanted to play another song of yours. So I played my bag. Like that's how good you got. So, you know, if that's confirmation bias for you or not, I don't know. But just so you know.
That's sick, man. That's crazy. Wow. I'm gonna check that out like ASAP after this, man. That's crazy.
And then, so it's so funny too, because then I get off the live and I go downstairs because I live with my mom and my brother, and I go downstairs and my mom's like, "Who is this? Who is this TAHA?" She's like, "That song. Can you show me that song? It was really good." So I literally played it for her, and she bumped. So,
Yo, that's crazy. Someone like, oh, that's beautiful, man. That literally made my day, man. That's crazy. I don't have words. That's just fucking great, bro. That is so sick.
I thought we could start here today and give you surprise you a little bit with that.
Yeah, I'm dumb smiling right now, man. That's crazy. Shout out to your mom, man. That's fire. That's sick.
I know you didn't know that, but I'm glad you know now. So I had to make sure I put that in. But dude, that song. So that's the first song I heard of yours. And another thing which I thought was insane. So you actually reached out to us, and obviously we get a fair amount of submissions just from artists and around the Boston and Massachusetts area that want us to promote their music, and some of the stuff that we send that we get sent is good, and some of it's not so much, but you stood out to me because you sent the most like professional email out of anybody, dude.
Yeah, dude. I told my friend, like, I was like, "Yo, we need to make a press kit."
Well, so like I said, like you came off, you are so articulate and like professional, like just straight up, like you were like, "Hello," like to whom it may, like, or Mike or Cody or whoever you were sending it to, like, and you even like knew like parts of the show, like you were referencing stuff, like so you had heard it. So I was like, oh, okay, so he's actually invested some time in listening to us and taking the time to actually craft like a legitimate email to like send to us and stuff like that. So you stood out right away just based on that. So I was like, okay, I have to hear this guy's music. And then as I was doing research on you and heard Lately, I was like, okay, I had the same reaction that Trevi had. I was like, I have to hear more. And then I listened to Breath of the Phoenix, and boom, I was like, and obviously we wanted to get you in here, but we couldn't. So I was like, you know what, obviously due to quarantine, but I was like, you know what, let's get him on, let's get him on the show via Zoom. So I'm so glad we're doing this. But break down Lately for me, because I think that song is just brilliant. And I think the music video is, weirdly enough, I was surprised when I watched the music video because it's so dark, you know,
Yeah.
the aesthetic you went for. So tell me a little bit about like kind of the process behind making that song and even the video too.
Yeah, it's a crazy. There's a lot of layers to it. So how it started off, like I guess we'll start off with like the main vocal sample because that's like the heart of it. So that was sampled from
The vocals
this.
that you use like in the beat, right?
Yeah, yeah,
I knew that was, I was trying to figure out what instrument that was. I was like, nah, that's a vocal sample. And
yep. You got it, man. That's fire, man. Yeah, it was it was interesting because like my friend sent it to me, my friend Jared, and because he sends me a lot of samples sometimes because he's just like really into like the sample. He loves sampling. He always wanted me to do it. And so this Japanese singer was like, we just sent me it, and I was like, oh, this is perfect. And then my friend slowed it down. And an interesting thing with that sample itself is that like there was this old Kanye song. I think it was on SoundCloud or something, and I can like send it to you. But like it was uh like it was crazy because like in that song, I forgot the song. I can pull it up on my phone. It was like it was some like exclusive thing that Kanye did on like SoundCloud, man. It was like it's one of my favorite. It's like I don't really use SoundCloud too much because of the ads. Because I'm sorry, I just hate ads in my music. But like I really go to, it's like Never See Me Again. And he sampled that same singer, not the same song, but the same singer. And it's interesting because that singer was like she killed herself because he had the song Never See Me Again, and people have like like theorized like, oh, this was Kanye's goodbye. So it's just cool because like the whole point of this song lately is like lately I've been thinking life is just a breeze now. That's the chorus, right? It's like lately I've been thinking life is just a breeze now. Whoa, man, just believe they cutting at my knees because I'm on one. The whole thing I'm symbolizing here is that like it's my experience as a Muslim American, and like so it's like I was thinking life was so easy for me when they're like and they're cutting at my knees. Like when a Muslim is praying, like they go on their hands and knees, and so they're cutting at my knees because I'm on one. So it's like you can't think life is good. The fact that you, a Muslim American, think life is good, you're crazy. Because have you not seen what's happening? Not even as a Muslim American, there's a Muslim in the world. There's been so much Islamophobia and just the persecution of Muslims worldwide. There's stuff happening in China. There's stuff happening. There was like, and this was inspired by like it's a kind of in the other song, Man Down. It was the whole like a big theme of the album was like just Islamophobia, but specifically referencing like a shooting that happened in New Zealand where straight up a guy named Taha died, like he got shot, and so that was the whole point of like the song. So it's like saying like lately I've been thinking life is just a breeze now. Whoa, man, just believe they cutting at my knees because I'm on one. Hold up, I'm dizzy. I need some ease now. Whoa, man, disbelief, I'm cold, man, low, man. Cold like I'm losing blood, like I'm literally dying, and then cold like I don't want to feel anymore. I'm cold to the world right now. So
right.
that's the whole point of like lately we were just kind of that was a theme that you see in the music video too.
I thought the music video like painted the picture a little better. Not that like, because when I first heard Lately, I just loved the aesthetic of it. I loved the drums that you used in there, and then like the insertion of the bagpipes that kind of like really cool how you they just slowly fade in. Like you hear them really faintly in the background, and then they just kind of come very much to the forefront of it towards the end of the song, and
Yeah.
it gives it just that awesome aesthetic. It reminded me of listening to like songs from like MIA when she would put like those types of instruments in her music. So
Yeah.
right away it gave me like that kind of vibe, but I was just loving the aesthetic of it. But then as I've listened to it more, breaking down not only your lyrics, and then when I came across the music video, it painted a really cool picture for me. Just you know, your basically your depiction of, like you're saying, being a Muslim being a Muslim in America, excuse me, and witnessing, you know, not only the Islamophobia that happens in America, but also, like you're saying, in the world. And you're absolutely right that, you know, that is just prominent. I mean, whether you're talking, you know, stereotypes and racism, I mean, those, and even like but you even kind of put it in your own, you know, your own perspective too, because you kind of reference it like, you know, maybe I'm reading into it too much, but it almost seems to me like these instances that happen in the world, and, you know, with another person happening that with your own name, it kind of hits you close to home. I almost feel like it breeds like, you know, anxiety and obviously depression, because you're so empathetic to, you know, other Muslims and what they probably have dealt with in their lives, and you've probably seen your fair share of, you know, prejudice and racism as well. So I think that it just the video ties it all in together so nicely.
Thanks, man. Yeah, no, that was like the whole. Yeah, I'm happy you see that too, because that was like just the whole central theme that we were trying to go for. Um, and then I guess production wise, to break it down, and that was really, I want to give props to my boy, Sir Rolly. His name's Sheldon, but his go like Sir Rolly Production, because like I work with him on all of it, because he produced the majority of the album, and then so like Rolly, what he was doing was, like, I was just sending him samples. So and there's vocal chop of that Japanese singer slowed down. Some of the drums he put in. We got a live bassist actually for it, just through like Fiverr. I was like, yo, let's just throw a bass on it.
Oh wow! So the
And
bass
then
in studio live, like,
yeah,
that's so sweet.
yeah, he just went on it. And then I sampled I think it's the tambla. It was like an Indian drum. That was really what it was. There was like a small Indian drum you hear at like the beginning, and then really at the end at the outro, and then a sitar. Yeah, that was my favorite one, the sitar in it.
So that was that. Is that was so? It wasn't a bagpipe then. I was wrong. It's called, what is it called again?
Sitar. Yeah, it was just like a string instrument. Yeah, yeah. It sounds
Gotcha.
like a
No, I thought
bagpipe though. Yeah, I feel you on
a
that.
little.
It's funny. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was a bagpipe, but again, it definitely had that more Asian, like Middle Eastern sound that I've heard, and like
Yeah.
other music that's been done by like artists, other Muslim artists, like just for example, like an MIA. I want to go back to Man Down real quick, because that's another interesting track. I don't know if you've heard Eminem's newest album, Music to Be Murdered By, but I almost felt like Man Down was sort of similar to Eminem's latest Darkness, where he portrayed the viewpoint of the shooter from Las Vegas. And I thought that in the way that Eminem depicts it, it's obviously very dark, but it's very somber for this and slow. And despite the fact that this event probably was so anxiety ridden and just probably insane to witness or even just to think about. And I felt like you kind of did something a little bit similar too. You gave the aesthetic and the sonic, you know, appeal of the track is so low key, but what you're talking about is just so you know, just heartbreaking really. So tell me a little bit more about that track too.
That song was crazy. That song's actually like, yo, like, there's so much. So the whole point of the production wise playing video games for multiple reasons. Specifically, I sampled a lot of Zelda, um, and um, yeah, there was like a lot of Zelda I sampled, like a lot of Zelda. I love Zelda, man. Like that game's the best. I love the whole series, man. It's so good. But there was a lot of Zelda being sampled. There was a lot of Resident Evil 4, because I love that game too. That game's fire. You ever play that game?
So I'm not a huge gamer. I had you know, like Nintendo 64, just because, as you know, I'm at my aunt's house because my cousins are so much older than me. So growing up, I just naturally played that a lot. But I'm not as much of a gamer myself. But I have heard the name of it. It's Resident Evil 4. I've definitely heard of that
Yeah,
before.
yeah, that game is crazy because that game's because the interesting thing they do is because when you're shooting, you can't move. You just stand in a place. Even when you're trying to knife, you just lunge. So you just stand in the place and you shoot, and you got to stop, and then you can't look behind you or anything. It's crazy. It's a crazy game, man. I love it so much. But like, I sampled video games because one, I love video games because I'm a nerd like that. But the whole thing is like the whole Breath of the Phoenix is like I was sampling things that gave me the ability to breathe. That's the whole point. It was like, because like that was the whole point of it. Let me sample stuff that like gave me peace and whatnot. And it's like tragic because this whole thing, what I'm saying, and like kind of within the production, because I feel like there's like, you know, when you're making a song, you want it to speak lyrically too. Like what message are you trying to send lyrically and then overall, but also you want to help send that message through production. So the message in production was like these things that were once able to give me peace can't anymore because the thing with specifically with that New Zealand shooting, why it's so disgusting and so just fucked up on so many levels, so just traumatizing, was like obviously the dude just did it and like Friday prayers, which is like Jummah prayers that Muslims are just, that's like this dude like studied it, like it's crazy, like planned it, but there was footage. He videotaped the whole thing like on a camera, and I saw the footage. I shouldn't have. I shouldn't have saw it, but I saw the footage and it felt like a video game. I literally can't play Call of Duty shits no more because I'm like, yo, this shit just reminds me of that footage, man. Because I just couldn't play that shit no more. So that's the whole point of production wise. Like, there's a lot of video games where I'm just like in the third verse, we can break it down lyrically, you know, as we continue on. But like, that was the whole point of like, yeah, I just like my piece was just ripped away from me, you know, like straight up. Like there was a woman. It's fucked up, bro. It's fucked up, man. There was a woman. It's fucked up.
Well, just you right now, right? Like explaining to me a little bit more, because like I said, I knew obviously what the song was about, like, but you giving it even more, uh, you know, um, shedding more light to, you know, the choices that you made in making the song, like that's like it's chilling to me, but I also in the same time I want to commend you because it sounds like you, like we were talking about this a little bit earlier off air, like we're perfectionists, obviously always. Um, try to put out the best quality product. And it seems to me like you just put so much thought and effort into it now that, and more so than I even thought of, or the thought that you did, just to like, even like you're saying, the little nitty gritty stuff, like, the perspective of using the game, like shooting games when, somebody that's really what this person did, like in real life, almost made it portray it, which is, dude, that's crazy.
Yeah,
That's
man. It's crazy too, with it, like the specific ones too. Like Resident Evil 4, the whole story is like you're shooting monsters, and then like you kind of realize at the end of the game that these were once innocent people that were turned into monsters. And I feel like that was my people. Like I feel like we were innocent people turned into monsters. Like I sample things that I really want to help, because it also just helps performance wise too. Like I'm able to do a good performance if I really know like, oh, all these beats are like really complementing, all these instruments, samples complementing each other like this. Oh, I can really hit it now.
yeah.
So
And you're paying homage to not only your culture, but you're really shedding light on very important topics in your music, and that is, I think, one of the not only hardest things to do, but in terms of execution, not only sonically, topically, and like you're saying, even just little subtle nuances like that, making it all work together and sound good, and also making it relatable is so important. And I think you do that 100%, because I think now people hearing this and listening to your music, especially gamers, they're gonna, having this background about it is gonna give it an entire new meaning when they hear Man Down for the first time, if they haven't, if they're listeners of ours and not you, and listen, coming on to you for the first time, it's going to give it such a, like I said, an amazing perspective. And I would, like I said, I want to commend you for that, because I actually, to be honest with you, there aren't a lot of, like I said, I mean, you probably know this, better than I do, but I don't, how many Muslim rappers are there out there? Like, I really don't even know that many off the top of my head, dude. Like you might be an anomaly or in a very small niche category there.
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I think about that too. Like yeah, and it's like if I'm coming in, like I really want to speak on the things that like need to be spoken on, you
Sure.
know. So like yeah, that's a really I think about that a lot, you know. So
Well, you
yeah,
even referenced it in your music a little bit on Low Battery. You mentioned that you think you're almost questioning if like, am I being a good Muslim or am I being a shitty Muslim and things like that. I don't have that much. I don't want to sit here and act like I know much about Islamic culture and background and things like that, because I don't. I'm not an expert. You definitely are the one here, but the one of the few experiences I've had with it is my favorite book ever is The Kite Run, believe it or not.
yeah, yeah.
And so I just from what I know about Muslim culture and background is a lot of from that book, just in regards to like the religious aspects of the book and things like that I just learned through that. But I think it's a little bit interesting because through reading that book, it seems to me, and I'm Italian, just for background on me, and I think that old-fashioned Italian beliefs and also like morals and things like that are a little aligned with Muslims in a sense, because I don't know about you, but it's like it seems to me that being a rapper and like expressing yourself in this way, like how does your not only your family, but how does like people in your community, like how in your Muslim community, like how do they respond to that? Like do you have to like find a balance between like expressing yourself through the music that you want and the things you want to share, versus like staying true to like your cultural backgrounds and upbringing?
That's a really interesting question. That's a really I gotta keep them. I'm lucky, man, because my parents, man, they really like they get it now. They really do, man. That's lucky. Like my parents, I will say like compared to most like kind of like just like Desi brown people, like their parents, like like everyone says my parents are like, what? Your parents let you do what? Dang, that's crazy. And it's just like, yeah, they really at first like they were a little hesitant, but then they heard my music. Like my dad, like he heard like my songs and then he cried. He was like, that was beautiful, And like this dude like went to school. This dude like, like he's so great, one of the most charming men I've ever, seen in my life. But I don't know. He's a very tough man, and he was just let him like I was crazy. I spoke to him on that. My mom has heard like my poetry. She's like cried to it. She's really liked my music. She liked lately a lot too. But yeah, and then I feel like for like a lot of at least the Muslim Americans I know, it's kind of um like the Muslim people I know, even I have like Muslim friends back in Pakistan, like they all they all just really like seeing me perform. Really, I think that was the biggest thing. Like in regards to like just like their view of my music and whatnot. I think the biggest thing is like they just know I'm so unapologetic. I'm so passionate. So I feel like that's the thing they really see, and then they see that and they're like, well, that's what we really love seeing. Like they at the end of the day, they just want to see me happy. So
Right.
they're just like, wow, this makes you really this happy, and you let it come alive. You let it come out alive. It's so raw, and people respect that. At least they do. So it's interesting to navigate that, but I think it's because I'm such a passionate person. They're able to like maybe not be so like I don't know hesitant to support me or anything. Because obviously like I also have matured more with my music too. Like I had a song called like "Fuck Boy" where I'm like, "Oh, fuck boy," like you know what I'm saying? Like just doing like whack shit, and then like maybe they'd be like, "Oh, I don't know about this," but then they hear like something like "Lately" and "Low Battery," and they're like, "Wow, you've gotten better and you've really grown." So I just think the maturity mixed with the passion really, you know, it really brings people together for me. So
Yeah, and it comes from a place that's genuine, and you can hear it in your music. And no, I only bring it up because like I grew up in a household where like again, old fashioned Italian, like just the stigma was that you didn't really share anything personal or anything that was from the home life. Like you didn't share that stuff outside, right? Like
yeah,
you didn't go share that in society or anything like that. And just again reading like obviously in the Kite Runner, like, Amir's father is very against him, like, writing and expressing himself through that way. And so, like, I just thought that, there's definitely, I don't want to say a parallel there, because I don't want to just make it seem like that there's such a concrete parallel between the two. But in that sense, I think that's there's definitely something there. But, and on the flip side of that too, I think just like our generation we grew up much differently now. I think that our generation doesn't see those lines are definitely a lot more blurry. You know what I mean? And we are able to, I think it's less, there's less of a negative stigma towards, expressing yourself how you want to these days,
Yeah.
So I think that, especially for us, it's tough to, like you said a little bit, like, navigate the world and, be who we want to be, but, also try to hope, like, stay true to, our past and who, like, kind of helped raise us. But that's so great to hear that, like, you have people that not only, like, that support you and, like, are fully behind you. Like, that's so dope.
Yeah, man. It's luck, bro. 'Cause my mom actually used to act. She used to be a actor in Pakistan. Like she was like, yeah, it was crazy. Like she was doing news stuff there, and then this guy heard her doing the news. Was like, "Do you want to act?" And it was crazy. So she did like a little acting stuff, but mostly like just news stuff. And so I think that helped a lot too. My dad has grown immensely. The reason why, like, shout out to my parents, man. I love them so much because the reason why isn't because they didn't make any mistakes, is because they apologized and they kept growing. Like they weren't stubborn about it. They just kept growing and learning to grow. And yeah, I really lucked out. That was a big thing. I feel like I really lucked out. But for other kids, like, I feel like this immigrant thing, like when you're coming in to America, you realize money doesn't buy you happiness, but it buys you security, comfortability. And
Mhm.
that's like really, that is so vital to just live life here. And
Absolutely.
so, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then like, that's why a lot of, there's always those pressure. Like people are like, why is there pressure to be like a lawyer, a doctor, or this, or a dentist? And it's just like, because that gets you money. But when immigrants came here, that's what they needed. They needed money because they had mouths to feed. They wanted to put their kids in schools and colleges. So that's the thing, like why a lot of, I feel like there's that initial like hesitancy, maybe for some parents to support their kids in art. And that's why, that's why you gotta live a balanced life. It's like, okay, well, pursue the degree, get a job, pursue that, and then do this. And you gotta have, my dad says, a balance. You gotta balance it because that's healthy if you balance it. So I think that's
Absolutely.
just like an interesting thing, though. You feel me? Like,
No, it is. No, it absolutely is. I want to go back a little bit though, because so you said your mom was an actor or an actress,
yeah,
and then
yeah, yeah.
did you mention earlier your dad was in music? Like, he has some background in music too.
My dad, nah, he like he actually does like sing, like, but he does it like really jokingly. Like, he is a good singer, but he just does it like party, really. Like, he's just the party singer. That's what I've seen him do. But it's what my mom was really into, like uh she was like more into like news broadcasting, but then they wanted her to act because of how good she was at it. It was like crazy. Yeah, it was crazy. She gets, like, I'm telling you, bro, like she gets invited to like, she got invited like Bollywood red carpet events in New York, like, because, and the people like, yeah, it's crazy. Like my mom and dad went to one of them, and then there was like people who were like, "Yo, I had a crush on you," like because you were on the news and stuff. It's crazy, bro. It's crazy. Like my mom, like, look, if this music stuff doesn't work out, I guess I'll just go to Bollywood, man. That's what I'm saying, man. Like, I'll just brush up on my Urdu a bit more, man. I'll just go back. I'll just go to Pakistan, man. I'll get big, man. So,
All
yeah,
right. So with that background though, that makes sense then that your parents are probably a little bit more supportive, because I think your mom probably understands, right? She gets
yeah.
like the, the need for you to, like, express yourself artistically. And but you're right, you have that balance, like we talked a little on air, I mean, off air, excuse me, like, you're getting a degree, and you're doing what you have to do to be stable and comfortable. And hey man, I mean, the same thing for me. Like, I love teaching, don't get me wrong, it's phenomenal, it's one of the best, jobs that, I think are out there personally, and especially for me. It just works and fits my life so well. But you know, I have to express myself in some way too. And this is my outlet, you know what I mean? Like this has been, you know, I want to do things that I'm passionate about too. I think you're right. We all have to have that balance between, you know, being realistic, but also still having that, you know, still dreaming a little bit, right? Having that drive to pursue, you know, those bigger goals or those creative goals that you want. Because if you're just doing one thing, I feel like you're limiting yourself, you know.
Mm.
And that's so great that you have that foundation, right, that your parents gave you, and that's so dope. I love hearing that.
Thanks,
That's
man.
that's so sick. um so you mentioned too that you really that people like seeing you perform, and I went on your website, and when you first reached out to us, and like I said, did my due diligence on you. And by the way, again, just to harp on the professionalism that you have, your website's phenomenal. Like, just it looks so like clean and just professional, like. and
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
can
Shout
see
out. Yeah,
not only with the music, but then you said you write poetry too, which I also think is so dope. My mom writes poetry too. um but I loved just the aesthetic and overall, appeal of your website. But then I'm scrolling down and I'm looking and I'm seeing like, oh, like look at Taha's breakout performance opening for Pusha T and Lil Tecca, and I'm like, Pusha T. I was like, damn, bro. So you performed, that was when, 28? No, not 2018. Was it last year? Was it 2019?
yes, 2019, August, August. Yeah,
August, okay. So last summer then.
yeah.
So
Not September. I forgot. One of those two.
so tell me a little bit about how that happened. Like, did you reach out to Pusha T and was just like, yo, let me open for you when you come to the Mullins Center in Mass? Like how did that happen? Because I know a lot of guys they do the pay to play thing, but especially
Yeah,
when
I
they're
did.
trying.
Yeah, I will never ever do the pay to play thing. I will never do that. If any artist is doing a pay to play thing, you are getting scammed. Do not do that. That is not gonna help you. But like, I just want to give a quick shout out. Shout out to Jared. He helped me with that website. I just want to give him props. Shout out you, Jared. I love you, Jared. But like,
Credit.
yes, you gotta credit him. You feel me? Like,
Dude, I take no. I was telling you earlier. I take no credit for our website. Shout out my boy in our one of our producers and marketing guys. Like he created the store for us, the website. Like, I mean, so I agree with you, man. Like it
yeah,
takes a village sometimes. It takes more. It's just behind you. Obviously, like when people hear your music or listen to our show, they just see me or they just listen to you, but they don't understand like all the background and all the work and all the people that help make that happen. So
for real, man. For
shout
real.
out.
Yeah, man. With the Pusha T thing, it was actually like it was interesting. It was a competition thing. So it was this group called Canvas Live. It's like CAMPVS, Camp This. So and they kind of were like doing like shows across colleges where they'd held competitions for like the college students to get in and perform. Um, so I could tell you the answer I tell everyone, and I could tell you the real answer. I'll probably just tell you both. How
Please.
I felt. Okay, I tell everyone, they're like, "Oh, you opened up Pusha T. How was it?" I was like, "Oh, it was the best time of my life. I learned a lot. It was great." But then you asked me the real answer. That shit was disorienting. It was still a really important learning experience, but it was pretty fucked up, and I'll tell you why. I guess how I got it specifically though, backtracking a bit. So yeah, it's like it was a competition. Like first you got to get votes from like your people, and so I just had votes, and then I didn't. But it's like the person who got the number one votes gets like a guaranteed spot, and then the judges just pick everyone else. Um, and I got like second because I swear to God, man, the dude who was doing number one, he had a VPN or some shit, man. That dude was, it was crazy. Like, and I've seen, I don't know, that's just me, but like,
People,
either way though, the judges, what'd you say?
I said people cheat, bro. You can't. You can only control what you can control, bro. You can only control the way you move. You know what I mean?
For real, they cheat on numbers too, man. Like people are like trying to flex how much Spotify plays, but it's like I see that you are featured on this playlist that literally you pay like $50.
Right.
It's ridiculous. I don't know. We'll talk about that later. How I hate that shit because that shit doesn't even help you if you're just paying for streams. But like yeah, like so there was that competition. So you got to get voted in, and then the number one spot, you know, is guaranteed. And then, but the judges just really liked my shit. Like they just really liked my music. So because the judges just pick other people, and they're like, "Oh, we really like your music." And I had like again, shout out to my boy Declan again. Like you're saying, the whole team, right? Um, he helped make like this promo vid for my other album, Airborne. That was like I released like I don't know my junior year of college, and then like he made like a promo mix of that. Yeah. He like made a promo mix of that. And they said that helped so much, which is just goes to show it's like, you know, we've talked about before, like you got to keep putting good quality because you never know when it pays off. But like, so yeah, I get picked to do the competition, and it was weird, man. First of all, these other rappers, you know, they were like acting all like tough, and it's just like, why? What do you? I bet maybe they were nervous, yeah. Maybe they're like, maybe they're anxious too. You know, that's just how they express their anxiety. But there's always been some weird, like, I don't know, masculinity bullshit in like rap, which is like fucking weird. And then either way, though, I performed at the competition, which is like an outdoor stage, and I killed it. Like I did really well. I literally just jumped off the stage at a point, and like I just did my shit. I did my thing, and then I won it. And they're like, okay, you get to perform for like, in front of Lil Tech right before Tecca and Pusha, and you get paid. It was lit. It was really lit. And then like, yeah, people were on me that day. Like people were reaching out. They're like, "What? Oh my God! I remember when you were just rapping in my dorm." And I was like, "Yo, I didn't blow up, man. I'm just opening up for Tecca and Pusha." And oh God, so I'm not a guy who gets nervous, and I didn't get nervous about this, to be honest. Most of the times before I do a show, I get really tired. I don't know, maybe because I just get tired. I don't know, but like, um, it was interesting because as I was going up on the stage, my two friends were getting kicked out. It was because that's the thing with these fucking festivals, and that's the thing. Festivals are just so artificial, man. There's so many people just lying. That was a big thing I've realized. I'm jumping. I'm jumping on points to points. So sorry about that, but like,
Oh, you're good.
but it was artificial. People were just trying to lie to get backstage. Some of the other rappers that didn't win the competition were trying to lie. Like I saw it, and then like and it was just like this weird idolization of like all these rappers, and it's just like I briefly talked to Tecca, and I'll just be real, I was so unimpressed. I was just I was just like so unimpressed. And it's not like no hate on people who like Tecca or whatever. It's just like, but then you just realize, and I even more briefly talked to Pusha T, like very, very briefly, and it was still great people, no hate, but I was like, these people aren't gods. And I feel like everyone just looks at rappers and artists and celebrities as gods, and they just want to worship them. And it's to the point where they don't even see them anymore. You're not even seeing a human being. You're just seeing like a image that you want to even, you know, that you just want for yourself. You know, you're trying to eat it, and it's like, yo, what the hell? Like, it's crazy. So my friends are getting kicked out because they don't have all the bullshit passes that you need. I don't even know why. So, but they're like, no, we're friends, and the guy's like, I don't give a fuck. And he like my friend was like videotaping me. He's videotaping me, and then he grabs the security dude, just grabs the phone, and he's pushing them out. As that's happening, I'm getting on the stage, and they booed me.
They what?
They booed me because
They
there was
booed?
like, they booed me at the beginning. They didn't want me there because there's two reasons really that I broke it down. At first, this was a lot, bro. It was a lot, bro. But like they booed me because like there was like so many openers before, and these openers weren't like, I saw these openers. They weren't even rapping. They were just playing X6 and Tentacion songs, bro. Like they were just trying to get these like kids hyped up. But
Yeah.
like, um, but also like you got to keep in mind, people were front row for a Tecca concert, and we've talked about my music. Like I sample like Life Support Machine. Like you're not, if you're a Tecca fan, you are not gonna like my music. Like that's just not. Are you not gonna like be in love with it? And so they were impatient and they just weren't with it. So I just like, they were all booing me. And then I was just like, fuck it out. Like, I know you guys want to see Tecca. I'm just gonna do my shit. I'm just gonna do my shit. And then I rapped, and I did well. Like I'm harsh on myself. Like I didn't do an A performance because my A is like through the roof. I think because I've been performing since like the sixth grade, since in like theater and all that stuff. But like I did really well because at the end of it, the front row not so much, but even kids in the front row were bumping to it, but the crowd cheered. Like at first they booed, and then at the end they cheered. Like I literally turned the boos into cheers, you know, and that is great. And then I don't know. I remember like later I saw footage of Drake getting booed, and I was like, okay, I feel a little better. It just happens. But now this is the fucked up part where like I got footage of like me performing from them. I usually use the footage of my boy Amin. Shout out to Amin. He's like my stylist, and like he does a lot of video for me and a lot of photography for me. But he was videotaping it. But like we got the footage from the Canvas people, and when I was done performing, you hear them saying like racist shit to me. They were like, go back to India. I'm not from India, I'm from Pakistan. They're like, thank God you got shit, all this shit, bro. Like, and then I saw that footage, my guy. I was pissed. I was infuriated. Like I was livid. Like I was like, all right, and that's the biggest lesson I learned was how do you in general, how do you tackle like racist shit? Like, and it's like you can get angry at it, but you can't let it consume you, because if you let it consume you, you're wasting so much energy and time and resources. And you got to keep in mind that person, like literally they were saying they hate me, but clearly they hate themselves way more than they hate me,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
And then they
So
win, not to cut you off, but they win,
no.
allow them to get to you. You know what I'm saying? And then and I guarantee that, it's going to stick with you so much longer than it's going to stick with them. Like they're going to forget about it in 5 minutes, but you're sitting, like you remember it, and you're sitting here talking to me about it now, almost a year, 9 months later. And it's no, but that is fucked up. I agree. Like I personally too, like I have no tolerance for that shit. Like, man, like we're all here, we're all human beings, like we all have feelings. Like, I mean, I think you're seeing now, especially in a time like this, let's like go off on this tangent, but in a time like this, you're seeing the people that truly like feel and want to and are just all about humanity and want the best for humanity. And then you're seeing the people that don't give a shit about people that are either less fortunate than them or different than them or anything like that. Like it's just it blows my mind that there's still people out there that want to be, prejudiced and racist and things like that over, really one incident that has nothing to do with you or, really, I would say almost all of Muslim America. Like none of you have anything to do with that. And yet
100%.
it's still one of those things where it's just unfortunate. And you're out there, you're putting yourself out there, right? You're trying to entertain, right? And there, it's just your true fans are gonna be what will, catapult you going forward. I think you're absolutely right. Like I don't, and again, I know I'm gonna sound like almost hypocritical here, but I don't think the common Lil Tecca fan understands what you're doing and what you're going for. I just don't. And that's not a knock on anybody that likes Lil Tecca. You can be, but I don't think that anybody that's listening that's going to Lil Tecca for the music he's putting out, it's very different than what you're doing. So maybe the pairing just wasn't good, but it's still no excuse for you being true like that. You putting yourself out there to perform, and it was supposed to be a moment for you. You were like looking forward to it, but it's interesting though. It's ironic that sometimes those big moments like that aren't, what you think they're gonna be.
100%, man. That's really, I mean, it was just an important lesson to learn, because like this is gonna happen. It will happen again, And I guess I don't know. The funny part was like I got paid though. Like actually, I still got paid. I got
I got racks. Like you paid. thank you for your money.
For real, right? Like I still get money for like people to fucking like just like what say like people gonna say racist shit to me. I might as well just get paid for it. Like honestly, like it's crazy. Um, but like yeah, that experience, like I mean the footage, like I got that footage, and now like it's funny, right? Because I got the footage, and then every blog, every person's like, oh, that's so sick, and it's like for me, I was like that experience still like. I have more fun performing at houses, bro. Like I'll like even like I'll send you like a video like after this,
Please
like
do.
yeah, just me performing on houses. I love house shows more because I'm on top of kitchen stoves, and then I could just the faucet's right there. I just put the faucet, drink water, all right, word, and I can keep performing. Like that's better.
So,
That's better than a big stage, like.
so anybody that knows anything about UMass Amherst, I mean, I had two brothers, the one brother that's still there, another brother that went there. I went to Framingham State. I was just talking about this off air that there was nothing ever going on at Framingham State. I was at UMass constantly. So, especially, and with one of my producers actually, who's, I college roommate from, you know what I mean? So he can validate. We would, 5 o'clock on a Saturday would roll around and you wouldn't hear anything. And just like, yo, we visited my friends or your friends at UMass this Saturday. Who are we hitting up to see if we can crash UMass? But do you perform at parties at UMass like often, or is that something you don't, or is it just like for intimate like friends, or are you just like one of those people like you're just fuck it, I'm gonna get up on this stove in front of 100 people at this house party or frat party and just start rhyming?
Yeah, I would like actually like reach out to houses. I'll be like, "Can I do a show here?" Like I have all the equipment, I got my speakers, I got my mixer, I got the mic. Can I do a show here? They'd be like, "Yes," or they'd be like, "No." But all the good ones would let me say yes. And I had like shows, especially second semester. I was doing like house shows like every weekend. I really was. Like I was doing house shows on house shows, man. And I had a show lined up for every weekend in April too until this COVID stuff happened. But like there was even a chance I could have performed at Mullins again, that center again. But uh yeah, like I was just doing house shows a lot. I just love it. Like I would literally just reach out because some people they want to do it. Like they're like, oh, do a show. Oh, cool. And then like, you just meet like a bunch of cool bands, a bunch of other artists, and like I don't know. Shows are the best way to get your name right. So
Yeah, well, like it's so funny because me attending shows was actually how we started. I don't want to say we didn't transition, but we kind of pivoted towards doing more of things like we're doing right now, like just chopping it up with local artists and Boston artists, Massachusetts artists, and whatnot. I went to a show at Icon with my cousin, who had a friend who was a rapper or is a rapper, and I was living with him at the time. He's like, "You want to come? Tickets like $10," and I was just like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" And so I go, and I ended up like not only to have a great time, I met all three of the performers, and I am now like very good friends with all of them, and I've built these amazing relationships with all three of them. Like, so Washi was the original guy, who's dope. If you haven't heard of him, check
is that his name right there?
Washi. Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. Well, when you come in, bro, you can sign the wall too. That is his name.
Oh, that's lit.
Yeah, that's what this is for. I got a couple others that you can't see at the moment that they decided to come over here. I got Lord Felix, uh, Marcel Stefan, who was another guy at that show. So it went Marcel, Washi, and then Zafir. And so I'm at the show. I've never done an interview in my life, mind you, right? And
Yeah.
my cousin, who's also name is Mike, he's like, Washi's real name is Brandon, but he's like, oh, I think Brandon would be like, interested in maybe doing like just ask him, see if he would want to come on your show, and I was like, oh, that's like a pretty good idea. So like that's like this is like he's telling me this like as we're driving there, mind you. So I'm like, it wasn't even a thought like as I was going there until he brought it up, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's a good thought. And so Marcel performs, and then Washi, and then Zafir. So Washi performs first, and second, and I ended up talking to him obviously right after, and he ended up coming on the show. shortly after, a few weeks later, and now like we're tight. Obviously, his name is on my freaking wall. And then I bump into Marcel, who went first, and I just like walked right by him, and I just, out of the blue, I just felt like saying, good job, like, because like I'm a music fan, and if I appreciate what you can do. And he had a track with Michael Christmas, who I've heard before, and I'm like, oh, that's dope. So I walk up to him, and I'm just like, yo, good shit, bro. Like that's sick. Like I love what you did up there. And obviously, just he starts talking to me a little bit more, and then I get into my podcast, and I'm not kidding you, right? So one of my producers, Sam, shout out Sam, he, over the summertime, this was right before, this was, so actually probably right around the time that you had your Mullins show, is when this all was going down. And we're hanging out in my sunroom at my cousin's house, and he's like, they're criticizing, not criticizing, they're giving me some advice on the podcast, right? And they're like, dude, you are a music podcast and you don't have a fucking intro. Like, what is wrong with you? And I was just like, true. It's a very good point. Because we had our like classes in session, like catchphrase, and that was that. So I'm like, true, but I'm also not musically inclined, and I don't have a network of like people, right? So 3 weeks later, I go to the show. I meet Marcel, and Marcel's like, he immediately, I mentioned it on a podcast, and it was almost like he like read my mind. He was like, do you have intro music? And I was like, no. And he was just like, let me make you an intro. And I was like, if you want, sure. And then he made it sick, and it's perfect, right? It's like it's our little jingle we put at the front of the episode now all the time. And he comes on and he goes, bro, when I met you and you mentioned that, and the light bulb clicked, because I've had this beat for years, and and I wanted to rap over it, but everyone was telling me, this is like for like a radio show. Don't use this shit. Like, this is bullshit, right? And then of course, we both just had like a light bulb moment. So it's so funny though. It's, long story short, like how things like work out. You know what I mean? Building shows and like meeting people and networking, like, and the social media part is important, but I think that like you make true fans, I think, at shows, because you build that face-to-face, in-person connection,
That's a really good point. That's a really good point. Yeah. Cause it's just like, like, yeah, that's another thing. Just kind of like, if you might make a great song, man, but if you can't perform it, like, it's different.
Or if nobody ever hears it, it's like,
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
If you can't perform it, you want music that can. I mean, there's music for all different aspects. I think. I think you especially. I think your disc, or what I've heard from your discography at this point, I think you have songs that play well both ways. Like, you have songs that you can play like just chilling by yourself, vibing, right? Like late at night. You have songs that you can bump in the car with your friends. You have songs that definitely would probably play well at a show. So I think that having that variety is like super important too, like not boxing yourself in. So.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, cause that's a really cool way to put it. Like, just not boxing yourself in. Cause like, I don't know, like, I don't want to stick to just like, I don't want to make like every song sound the same. Like, cause that's just like, I'm not trying to make like, so, I don't know, some people just do that, and I'm like, I don't know, like, power to you if you want to do it. Like, that's your sound, that's what you wanted, that's your like art, that's your work process, like, do what you need to do. But for me, like, I love like making every song, like when I make an album, I really like making every song sound like different, so people have like a specific vibe they can go to. So, like, obviously a theme to hit on throughout the whole album, but especially with like Breath of the Phoenix, right?
Right.
But like, like that album specifically, I feel like there's just so much genre exploration in such a short amount of time.
I completely agree, and that's one of the things that gravitated me and keep towards it and keeps me coming back, because it actually not mirrors, I shouldn't say that, but it seems to me like you take some influences from artists that I particularly really like, and then you even mentioned them on your website. Like, so it's so funny, like guys like Brockhampton, JPEG Mafia, Slow Tie. I even hear a little Death Grips with you, especially on a song like Gasp. I'm like, bro, you sounded like MC Ride like 100%. I was like, bro, I was just like, is it featuring Death Grips? Like, what the fuck is going on here?
That's sick. Yeah.
this is death grips. Like not
You're like,
I shouldn't say that. I'm sorry. That's not what I meant. I meant like it gave me that aesthetic and that feeling.
yeah,
I was fucking dope. You
that's
know?
sick, man. That's you'll like this next album then, man, because this next album's supposed to be like really, really like aggressive. And
Okay.
there's like one really big like rock song kind of similar. I think you'd really like that then.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
sweet, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
like the guys that I really like. I'm big Brockhampton. Like their
Yeah.
ability for them to be creative in their sounds is what drew me to them from the very start. I think you don't obviously do it in the same way, but you have this. You do. I think you have that same mentality, or I can at least hear it when I listen to Breath of the Phoenix. It's like you went into it saying, okay, how can I make this sound good, but also sound like nothing else? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like that's a really good, that's really important. Yeah, Brockhampton, man. Like they really, I don't know, they have such a weird sound and it works so well. Like that's really it. Like it just like very unique, very vibrant, you know. And that's it. Yeah. Yeah. Like
And they're
it,
saying something, which is important. You know what I mean? Like what Kevin Abstract has done for the LGBTQ community in hip hop, I think is just unprecedented at this point. I don't know if there's another, and it's funny, is an artist you should actually check out. You might like his stuff. J.R. Weiss. I have no idea where he's from. He just hopped into one of our lives. Um, but I was talking a little bit about Brockhampton, and he was like, "Bro, like Kevin Abstract, like, I'm also like a gay artist, like, and Kevin Abstract like speaks for our community." And I was like, "That's dope that people not only can connect to him, but are trying to like get themselves out there a little bit more now, and aren't afraid to really be outward about it anymore." You know, I think that
mm,
is like so awesome to me. I love that.
yeah.
I think that Brockhampton, just even topically and even their sound, like they're just so innovative in so much they do. um and really, like, again, not to gas you up, but I hear that in your music because it does not sound like anything else I've heard. And you're talking about topics that no one else is talking about, bro. No one else
Shit.
is, you know.
That's crazy. That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. That's crazy. I don't even just thank you.
You're welcome. No, seriously. No, I genuinely mean that. You know, it's not even, and I don't, don't say that to every artist that hits us up or that I even have on. So you like, you do have a very unique sound. Um, and whether or not, everybody can get down with it, who knows? But me personally, love it. Everyone I've showed loves it. And I think that in time, as music grows and music develops, I think people are going to be more in tune with, especially the world of hip hop, right? I mean, how many different subgenres are in hip hop? I mean, holy crap! Like,
Yeah. There's a lot. There's a lot of crazy like stuff in hip hop. Like, yeah, it's just often like negatively stereotyped and racialized. Like people are just like, you know, to this point where like they just kind of see an image of it that's just, they're just diluted. Like it's just a misconceived notion of it. And if you really give hip hop the time it deserves and the effort it deserves, you can really see so much beauty in it. People hear a song and they're like, "Oh, that just sounds a little aggressive or this or that." And it's like, no, look into that song right now. Like really look at what they're saying. It's like, oh, this is so, even just rhyme schemes or just the melodies that they're doing. It's impressive, it's impressive and it's honest fucking work. Like, so yeah, yeah. I think like
I
it's just a lot to explore. Yeah.
there's a lot. It's a genre that has bended so many and blended so many different kinds within it. It's really kind of unbelievable at this point in time. And like I said, to hear something that like what you're doing is awesome, and for you to be so open in your music, I think is so cool. One other thing you mentioned in your music that I wanted to bring up, you mentioned being codependent on your pain. And I feel like a
Oh,
lot
that's
of
crazy.
artists, especially artists, right, and that using, and even for me too, like I'm somebody that suffers from mental health and more on the anxiety spectrum. But for me personally, what helps my anxiety is diving into some creative things like this. Like I always, after doing a podcast episode or you know, doing a promotional video that I've, you know, messing with Final Cut Pro now and things like that. And, or like,
Cool.
just doing anything creative, it makes me feel so much better and just like gives me such a better peace of mind. I'm guessing music's that way for you, but how is it that really helped you not only just on a personal level, but how has it also like affected your music too?
That's a good point. That's a good question. And that was just the interesting point of just like, you know, it's just expression is what you're bringing up. You know, we're kind of tackling this, just expression. And I don't know, the world's like, I remember this story. So I was like biking in Boston with some friends. And I remember I was biking, man, I was just scared out of my mind. Not because of biking, but I was just thinking, right? And I was just thinking, I was like, life doesn't make sense. Nothing makes sense. Everything is so scary. I'm just like freaking out of my mind. And then we go to the beach and I just see like these just like young people, just like I think there's like these three girls just like just just dancing to the baby. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Like music makes sense. Music's the only thing that just doesn't make me so anxious all the time. It just gives me peace and it helps me express myself and connect to people. I feel like when I was younger, no one listened to me. I feel like every time I was like, hey, these kids are bullying me. Hey, these people are calling me terrorist. Hey, they're doing all this shit. Hey, these are like fucking doing all this fuck shit to me. And it's just like no one listened, you know? Even like so many people I loved, like I really loved, I feel like they weren't able to really understand my pain. They're like, nah, you're overreacting. Nah, you're being oversensitive. What do you mean we don't understand? Then I put it in this music format. And then now everyone's listening to me. Maybe they're not liking me, but they're listening to me. And I think that's the thing. Like at the end of the day, humans just want to be listened to. That's really it. You know, just the validation of feelings. Your feelings might not be right. Like let's say, oh, I feel really hurt and maybe I didn't do anything to hurt that person like intentionally, but my impact is still there. I'm gonna apologize for that, you know? And it's just like this whole thing about like validating emotions and I feel like I was able to feel more validated in music. It's with and mental health, you know, like it also helps you like it helps me grow more. Like I'm like I put it on this physical format. I'm able to look at myself in a more honest way. I'm like, oh yeah, this is a bad tendency of mine. I really need to work on this. Or like, oh, that is actually beautiful. That beautiful part of me exists and I should never let that go. And I should recognize that, you know? It just reminds me that I'm worthy of something.
Dude, I just applaud. That's so well said. I thought that was just beautifully stated, man. Like
Yeah,
I
thank you.
can't agree more. Yeah, I think with that being said, you're right that when we were able to put it out in front of us, or it's when it comes out of us in a way, and you can actually see it or hear it or listen to it, or you know, whatever the case, right? You're when you're able to consume it back, you're looking at it from a different perspective. You're looking at it not within you, now you're looking at it from the outside of you, you know? And I think you're going to realize too, and I'm sure you already have, that what you're doing on your music and what you're talking about, it's not only it's affecting people, but it's probably affecting a lot of people positively, because here's a Muslim American who suffers from mental health issues just like anybody else in this world, and is just navigating life and trying to live it and become the best person they can be. And not only that, you're trying to uplift and make people feel good through your music along the way. And I think that if you can accomplish that, I think numbers don't matter, right? Like who cares how many people are listening to your songs? Like even for us, like right now, like, you know, are we as big as I would love us to be? No. But do we have a little like cult following? And yes. And do I get people like reaching out to us and being like, yo, we really appreciate what you're doing, like for the community and for Boston and just for music. And it makes it so much bigger than I think you or I ever thought it could or would be, you know, regardless of how it all ends up at the end of the day. You know, I think we get so fixated on numbers, but in reality, like it's not as important. It's the connections, it's the relationships. Like, and like I just told you, like, you know, my long-winded thing earlier about making quality relationships doing this, like I was just talking to my girlfriend about this the other day. I was like, I'm telling you right now, like that is what I'm going to take away from this when it's all said and done. Whenever, you know, regardless of what happens with this and how far, you know, in the future this goes for our podcast, like when one day when I sit down with it and I'm at peace with it and I'm done with it, I want to be able to look back on it and say, okay, who did I connect with? Who did I relate to? And in turn too, like who helped me grow as well. Like, and this is why I love conversations like this, because I feel like every time I've had a conversation like this on our show, it's helped me as well. You know what I mean? Like it's given me perspective that and made me think about things in a different way. And not enough people just, I don't think you said a lot of people want to be heard, but a lot of people don't want to listen. I think that's part of the problem. We get too tunnel visioned or stuck in our ways, and we don't want to listen really. You know what I mean? People want to be heard. You want to be heard. I want to be, but nobody really wants to listen. So I think that's really, like you said, very well said. And yeah, I'm so happy that you've found that creative outlet for yourself, and that, yeah.
Thank you, man. Same with you, man. Like, you know, like doing a podcast, like, I don't know, even doing anything artistic, some people have, you know, they might, and honestly, no, they will clown you for it, and they have clowned you for it, and you still do it because there's people who really enjoy it, and also you enjoy it at the end of the day, regardless of people, you know, right? Like you got like that. I've seen your following, like it's passionate. You know, you got some passionate people with you, and like, and you're passionate yourself. So like, it's really that's really the move, right? You just got to keep moving forward, and at the end of the day, it's like some people might be hating on it, whatever, and then you're still making an impact. It's like, what are they doing? You know, like you're making an impact in this beautiful way, man. So
I
yeah,
appreciate that for sure.
of course.
Yeah, and I think too, like going back to one of your other points too, like the masculinity factor, right? Like
Mm,
I think that just talking to you, like you seem like a very open and honest person, and you don't have this like, you know, this wall up, this guard up. But I think as men, and especially like you're saying in the hip hop realm, that can certainly be something that is present. And I think even given, I don't know about you, I don't want to speak for you, but my background too, just coming from the old fashioned Italian background, that was really kind of, I think pushed on us a lot in a way, just that, you know, being a strong, you know, emotionless, masculine man, like that's the important. But in reality, I mean, you're going to walk away from it so empty, I think, if you don't, or walk away from life so empty if you don't, you know, make those connections and put yourself out there like that. Because with, like you're saying, with all that hate comes as well some of the love, you know,
yeah,
and you just
yeah,
find a way to push that hate out and just focus on the love that you're getting. So
yeah. It's like you're right. Yeah, that's a really good way to see it. Just like noticing. You know, some people say maybe the key to happiness might just be noticing stuff, you know, just noticing it. And it's interesting what you bring about the masculinity thing, because, like, you know, like it is a lot in rap, but also it's a lot in men, especially, you know, like just a lot of like, just, you know, men of color. I can speak for like, you know, the Muslim men that I see, like the brown bodies that I see. And you know, it's a lot of it is like it's like a survival. It's a, you know, helps them survive. That's a big thing. So like even though like, you know, I'd be personally like I'd be criticizing it still, like, you know, obviously you can't do that. At the same time, it's like, especially for some people, like especially, you know, like a lot of black men, like, you know, they've been, you know, like they gotta, it's like, you know, they put way more in positions way more severe than I am. So, you know, they gotta, it's just like survival, you know, at the end of the day, it's just survival. So,
sure, no, that makes total sense. I think that
yeah,
definitely is part of it, for
yeah,
sure, for sure.
yeah. It's just like interesting to like, you know, it's just, I don't know, like, you know, we talk about things like gender and race and like hip hop, and it's just like, I don't know, I think it's important. It's just kind of cool that we're talking about it because, like, you know, way earlier, as we've highlighted, like people weren't talking about this, and now they are, you
Hip hop
know.
20 years ago, nobody was talking about the things that people talk about in hip hop now, even in music,
Yeah,
really, you know. I mean, now that, you know, that now that mental health and mental health awareness has become so much more of a bigger thing, like I feel like artists are more open to talking about it, and especially in the hip hop game. Like, I mean, 20 years ago, it was more about, you know, when Tupac and Biggie and guys like that were, and it was more in that. And there's obviously a lot of subgenres in hip hop. I mean, there was like guys like Tribe Called Quest that were doing a little bit more of that jazzy sound. And then you had obviously way end, like Beastie Boys and Run DMC, just to name a few, like that were doing it more for like aesthetic and sonic purposes. And then when you got into the 90s, I felt like it was a more, I don't want to say battle rap. That's probably like the wrong word or like the wrong phrase to use, but it was more competitive and more like who could be the illest spitter, right? Who could have the dopest rhymes and who could like be, the most clever. And it was not really about expression. And I think it's now completely changed. Not that that still isn't prevalent in hip hop, but I think that at least it's come around a little bit and been, and that's why I think so many people are now gravitating towards hip hop, and why hip hop has such a more of a positive connotation now as opposed to negative that it had I think that it had from some people in the 90s. I wouldn't say everybody, but I just think that it's just so interesting, like where it's come now, and like you said a little earlier, like how many different kind of people it can really touch. So yeah. Dude, I love this conversation right now. This is awesome.
So good. Yeah, this is great, man. Yeah, I knew this was gonna roll out so well, bro.
I do want to talk about I love this conversation. I'm so glad that we had it. I do want to talk about your new album and what you're working on right now, man. And so, is this time for you? And like I know this has been different for other people, but is this time for you? Has it been more of a productive? Have you been able to work more on the music now that you're you're stuck at home kind of doing nothing and all, like everybody in quarantine? Or is it more of like you're sitting back reflecting and thinking more? So because I know some people are having a hard time being productive while others are being like me on the other hand are just being like probably too productive, so where are you on that spectrum?
That's a good question. I say both, because it's like I am doing a lot of reflecting, because like I'm trying to redesign my sound in a way it's more like double down on everything. Like I've pretty much, me and my producer, I've established like there's a lot of great things about my sound, but I think the center of it's very emotional, very emotional. I was like, all right, let's double down on this emotion. Let's just fucking nail this, So it's been also like my Instagram, just thinking of like rebranding like a bit, like, okay, let's like try to hit a specific color palette in like the photos that we're gonna put out of this album. What's the album teaser gonna be? Like, the show The Americans? Have you heard of that show?
I have not seen it, but I do know the show. I'm familiar.
It's a really good show, man. If you got, I know you're doing your grind, you're doing work, man. You got a lot on your hands, but if you ever got time to watch a really good show, The Americans.
No, I watch TV, like, I mean, not a ton of it, but I am trying to be better about that, like not. And again, the separation piece is tough for me because I'm not working or I'm not going to work. Like I feel like it's so much easier. Like when I leave school, all right, like my time with doing teaching stuff, that it's done. It's over. I've left that behind. Maybe I come home and I do a little podcast stuff, or if I have to go to practice and coach or a game or whatever, if we're in season, or if I'm doing my training sessions in the off season, I do that. And then once I'm done with that, I don't touch that anymore. And then I come home and work on podcast stuff. And then, whatever's left of the day I have for myself. But not having the structure now, I feel like I'm allowing myself to do too much working, right? So I'm trying to be better about more time for myself and watching some shows. And I have been getting into some shows lately, so that'll be one. Where's that streamed?
Amazon Prime. It's on Amazon Prime. So
all right, so I have that.
Yeah.
So I'll be able to. I actually did just watch. I'm one of those people that, like, if there's a lot of seasons and a lot of episodes, I get a little overwhelmed and I'm like, I don't know if I can put that much time into it. So I'd like more like mini series. I think would be like, I just watched The Boys. I don't know if you've watched that on Amazon Prime.
I saw the trailer for it. I saw it. Looked really fun.
Season 2's coming out this spring. I want to say that's what I read. I looked it up because I liked it so much. Check that one out. That one's dope. I'll watch Americans, you watch The Boys, and then we'll
link up again.
Yeah, we'll link up again, absolutely. That's it. While we're on this topic, do you like some animated shows too? I notice, huh?
Yeah, I fuck with anime. I fuck with cartoons heavy. Like Both. Like I guess my favorite anime would be like I think Cowboy Bebop is like the best one. So good,
That one too.
so good. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood too.
Okay, I don't know that one either.
That one's sick. If you trying to watch anime, bro, that one's sick.
I'm
Um,
a big Rick and Morty guy.
Rick and Morty's fun, bro. That's fun, bro. That's a good show to watch. Like you just be laughing, man. You just be they take you to and they get serious though. They get serious at moments.
It's legit. They have a new show coming out tomorrow, actually, called Solar. At the time recording this, Solar Opposites, which looks like a riot too. I can't
Yeah,
watch that one. So
that'll be fun.
yeah, I was never huge into anime, but now like since there's more like adult content within the anime, like now I'm getting a little bit more into it. Like even
Yeah,
like a Big Mouth on Netflix, if you've ever seen that, that show's a
that's
fucking.
that show's good, man. That show's good, man. I really like that show. That's so funny because it has just like the ugliest animation ever. It's so good, bro. Like,
I know,
yeah,
but the jokes are just they hit.
it's so funny.
I'm going on a limb. Maury, the hormone monster, might be top 5 like best characters in any show of all time. That is my dude, man.
It's so funny, bro. Yeah, no, that show's legit too, man. Yeah, everything. Just with the humor, there's a good satirical nature in it that I love satire. You know, I think satire is a really, really important thing to do, like to utilize
Oh,
in
for sure.
like anything really. But yeah, I'm really big on like cartoons and anime. Like, I guess my favorite cartoon would be like Adventure Time, and then Avatar: Last Airbender is like right under that.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I remember Avatar. Yeah, I remember that from back in the day.
Yeah,
That show.
yeah,
Yep.
really good. Yeah, and then yeah, I love animation. There's one of the was really cool animation. These like it was this dude, the dude who made Samurai Jack.
Okay.
Have you heard? Yeah, yeah. He made his own show called like another animated show called it's a short too. So if you're trying to get in the short stuff, um, I could send you the link. I'll send you the link after this.
Sounds like we got a lot of sharing you and I to do still after this stuff.
Yeah, yeah. It's called Primal. It's
Okay.
intense, man, because it's very graphic. It's very graphic. It's just like about like you think initially like it's about like prehistoric times, but it's more of like a fantasy prehistoric time. Um, so yeah, and it really tells a story with such like there's like not really any dialogue, right? But it tells really great stories and just some epic, insane moments. I sampled it on like the next album I'm making. So like, yeah,
Yeah. So that's a perfect circle back to it. So
yeah, yeah.
you yeah, so like I said, so go back to my question a little earlier that I had for you, like how are you handling this time? Are you working more? Are you like it sounds to me like you're kind of trying to do both a little bit, like reflect a little bit, but then you're feeling it go in and get it done. But how's creating this new album for you right now and just given the climate?
Yeah, it's a lot because you just want to reflect on like who my artist is, what type of artist am I? And I've realized like, okay, I'm really big on emotion. Let me try to bring that more in my music, but also in like my aesthetic. So we're trying to get like photo shoots done, reflecting, just like doing some really cool shots also in music videos. Like in music videos, I told a story, but now I just want to do a bunch of really cool shots. Like I have a whole slideshow of like shots like from movies, and we're like, okay, how do we replicate this? How do we do this? And just think of like all these crazy ideas we're gonna do, and like really break it down how we're gonna do it. The reason why I brought the Americans is because the intro of it is like it's interesting because they bring a lot of photos as well with footage like
Okay.
of just like video footage but mainly photos like and they kind of like put photos on top of each other and like we want to make an album teaser like just directly relating to the Americans. So because my friend's like I don't really know how to do video editing too much but I'm he's like impeccable at Photoshop, so we're gonna do utilize that as like a fun album teaser. It's just really planning the marketing and also the overall aesthetic of our music videos, photo shoots, which they go together. And then online game, like I'm making like marketing plans, how to do that. And then there's also just the music. Like the next album is gonna be called Have Nightmares About Me. Um Probably part one. Yeah, it's a really intense title.
Oh, so darker? Yes, no?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Much darker, very like still like different, like some very, very aggressive stuff, some like more like ominous stuff, and there's like still like a good blend of everything I feel, but like yeah, it's definitely gonna be less on like my singing side, more on like my like really rapping side, and also just aggressive side. But like um yeah, it's just about anger and how like it's I've utilized it as a just kind of like surviving in like a lot of spaces where I felt very threatened, and then how it's come to the point where like I like I was flipping out on like I still have anger issues. I've been really working on it. Um but like bro, I was flipping out on coworkers. I was flipping out on my like family and my loved ones. Like all my loved ones were seeing it, and like I was like I really got to work on this. And then I realized I just developed such a lack of trust and security in my life with all the shit that I've been through, because I've been like abused here and there and like a lot of fuck shit. And like um the whole point of the album is like I got to this point where like I just want people to be afraid of me so they stop being so they can leave me alone. And so then I was like, I want you to be so scared of me that you have nightmares about me. But it's coming to the point where I'm becoming this human being that I'm starting to have nightmares about myself. So like, it's just like the term of like navigating anger and what we've talked about, like masculinity.
People that have stuck with us this long, and I'm hope that you have, if this is not the calling card or the motivation that you need to go check out this man's music, you need to right this second. Oh, let us finish here first. But this is some good shit, man.
Wow, thank you, man. That means a lot. That really means a lot, man. I can't wait. I'm gonna send you once we get these all mixed and mastered, bro. I'm sending you the private links, man. I'm gonna send that to you.
I'm just so happy that we got you on here, because I think that it's so cool. Like all our listeners, people that are fans of you, like your ability to not only be so thoughtful about what you're trying to do and the projects that you're doing, but then and then on the breath to articulate it in the way that you are, where it makes so much sense and so clear, dude. Like I think you'd be a good teacher, bro. I'm not swaying you, but I think you got to work with people. I know you got that anger thing you're trying to figure out, but like don't let that be in the way, bro, because I think you got a way with words. So keep doing that, you know?
Thank you so
So,
much. Thank
bro,
you.
seriously, if like I said, if it's in the new album, when can we expect it?
I'm trying to drop it December. That's what I'm trying. I'm trying to throw a single. Like I'm trying to do like two singles, one October and then one November, and then whole album. It's probably gonna be split in two parts. So the first part will just be like 6 songs, and then like there's two singles preceding it. So it'll be like a shorter thing. So very listenable. Yeah, yeah.
Well, people, like I said, if you have not checked out this man's work yet, you need to. And if this hour and some change, hour 20 minutes was not validation enough, I don't really know what to tell you on that, because you gave us so much good content, bro. Thank you so much for coming on and doing this. This was a lot of fun. We will get you in here. I promise when quarantine is over, you're at the top of my list, and you will be signing this wall, because
Oh,
we need Taha's signature on this wall. That is definite. You
yeah.
you have our cosign 110%. So I
Thank you, man. Thank you.
you or not, but regardless, you have it. So
It matters, man. For real. Thank you so much, man.
you're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Follow Taha on Instagram at Taha the Phoenix, correct?
That's me. That's me.
And make sure you go check out Breath of the Phoenix. It is, if you're someone like me that wants a quick listen, 30 minutes, you're actually, to be honest with you, you're going to be wishing that there was more. So go check that shit out. It's available on all streaming platforms. And Taha, thank you so much, bro, for being with us today. And we appreciate it. And we can't wait to chop it up with you again very, very soon.
Can't wait, my guy. Can't wait. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Maybe a guest for an Instagram live soon. Maybe if
Yeah, I'm down. I'm down for that.
do it, man. Cool.
We lit.
All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Again, follow us on Instagram at Turntable Teachers. Hit up our website, turntableteachers.com, for all the latest blogs, merch, episodes. We got video content now clearly coming out. Obviously, as you see, we got podcasts, we got all the stuff. So come to us for your music needs, and make sure that you follow and stream Taha's new music that is out, available now. Again, thank you so much, Taha, for being here. We appreciate it. This is Taha. I am Mike with the Turntable Teachers, and class is dismissed.
Turn